first one is connecting. When I wasn't very well, the last thing I wanted to do was to connect with other people. I would make excuses if we were invited out for a barbecue or a party or a farm meeting like this. I just wouldn't want to go, and I just felt like sitting at home on the couch, feeling sorry for myself, if you like, which absolutely was the worst thing I could do. The trouble with us is, as farmers, not the trouble, but as farmers, we spend a lot of the day by ourselves, working alone, and we get a lot of time to think and inside our own head, which can be a pretty dangerous place to be if we're not careful. So I connect with as many people as I can on a daily basis. I do that by, we have a group of friends and family in our local town, and we get together probably 3 to 4 times a week. We either go to the gym, or we go for a bike ride, or a walk, or a run, and it's always followed by, in the morning, a coffee at a local cafe, or a beer if it's in the evening. We call ourselves Average Joes, and we tend to pick out 1 or 2 events each year that preferably we can do as a team, in a team environment. And usually, this was Rotorua Half Ironman, but it had shorter distances as well. So it caters for everyone, all abilities. But yeah, basically we were a drinking team with a cycling problem. So a couple of other initiatives in New Zealand that just help farmers connect. I'm not saying you need to do this in Scotland, but surfing for farmers has really taken off around New Zealand. Obviously we have a lot of coastline, a lot of beaches, and how it's working is there'll be 2 or 3 farmers that will organise it in each location, and it has been pretty easy to get companies on board to sponsor it, and the surfboards and the wetsuits are provided, as is barbecue afterwards, and a beer or 2. And what it's doing, it's always on a weeknight evening, and what it's doing is it's just getting people off the farm and connecting with friends or people they haven't met, and they're keeping learning a new skill, and they're being active. So you got 3 boxes being ticked there. As is another example of what's sort of taking off as well, mountain bike. There's a lot of new trails opening up around New Zealand, so this is sort of taking off as well on a weeknight evening. But I've seen some great examples in Scotland while I've been here as well. Went to the Stirling Bull Sale, and there's a lot of people there just getting off the farm for the day and meeting up with friends, even if they're not buying bulls. We spoke in Ayr at I can't remember the name of the events centre, but a whole lot of people curling. So these are examples of things that you can do in Scotland, and I was sort of intrigued. I hadn't heard of it before, but I heard about the burn suppers, and that intrigues me, because I cannot imagine a group of New Zealand farmers sitting around reciting poetry. That's an awesome example of connecting with people. Otherwise, I connect, and I'm sure it's the same in rural Scotland. I have seen it pretty vividly. We farm on 2 sides of the road, so I'm riding my motorbike up and down the road all the time, and I will wave at every car coming in the opposite direction. That might not sound like much, but it's 1,000 small things that help your wellness. That's connecting. And when I was on Orkney, I had Pete Moss. I don't know how he controlled the pickup he was driving, because he was waving to absolutely everyone. So yeah, and that is connecting. little things like if I go for a run or a walk on the beach, I make a point of saying good morning and smiling at everyone coming the other way. And it's quite interesting, the reaction. I make a point of noticing the reactions I get from people. And most people smile back, so a smile is pretty infectious. I always say, if someone hasn't got a smile, then give them one of yours. But some people completely ignore me and just keep steering straight ahead. Usually that's at holiday time when all the Aucklanders are in town. We have a term for Aucklanders, Jaffers, just another Aucklander. Apologies to my two brothers and daughter that live in Auckland. I'm only joking. That's just something I do to connect on a small level. I thought of a great example of connecting. My daughter Brooke, she's an occupational therapist, and she was working at the Royal London Hospital when COVID broke out, and she was there for 9 months, which was pretty tough on her. She was at the front line, and we were worried back in New Zealand. But I remember reading about that they were proposing to stand outside houses and clap for NHS staff. And I lived myself in London for 2 years, and I immediately thought, that's not going to happen. I mean, London is a place where there's millions of people, but no one's connecting with each other. So I thought, I didn't even think anything more of it. And I was out on the farm. I was talking to Brooke on the phone. I had my headphones on. I was spraying weeds, I think Scotch thistles actually. And I was just talking away to her, and she said, hang on, Dad. And she went outside on her deck and she said, Dad, they're clapping. And you can imagine how bloody proud I was that that was happening, and to hear that, that's connecting. That was amazing. So well done, all you UK residents that did that and clapped. And I'm seeing it again in New Zealand at the moment. It's horrific what's happening. I don't know if you've kept up with it, but especially now the flooding in Hawke's Bay, there is going to be quite a few deaths, a lot of people missing. But to see people is just mucking in and helping each other, neighbours, friends, there's so much going on in New Zealand to help each other. And that's another example of connecting. It shouldn't take pandemics or tragedies to connect with other people. It's a case of checking on your neighbours and just checking on friends, and just every now and again seeing how they are. Because I think the mental health pandemic, and it is a bit of a pandemic, it's invisible. We don't see it. We don't see it as much as cases of COVID or floods and people having to evacuate houses. But I think it's up to all of us to help with this mental health pandemic. We can't leave it just to people like Rasavi, and we can't just leave it to. I hear it so often. We criticise the government for not putting enough into mental health, or there's huge wait lists to see a psychologist or whatever. But it's actually connecting, and it's up to all of us to help. And it's just connecting is huge for mental health, for wellness.